Hello everyone. I hope you all are safe and sound during these days. So let's continue to learn our topic genetics. Children, we have already learned about Gregor Mendel, who is known as the father of genetics. Mendel selected pea plant as we learned in a previous lesson. Uh, the scientific name of pea plant is Pisum sativum. So he took this plant from his garden and carried out extensive breeding experiments on this plant. Mendel chose 7 pairs of contrasting characters of pea plant and performed his experiments on them. He explained and generalized their results, and these results are known as Mendel's law of inheritance. In this topic, we are going to study his 3 laws of inheritance. Before proceeding, let's see why Mendel had to select garden pea plant for his experiment. The reason for this is there were many varieties of this plant available having contrasting character. The varieties were available in pure form. For example, tall and dwarf. Third, peas are self-pollinated since it is bisexual. 4. Self-pollination could be prevented by removing corresponding reproductive parts of the flower. 5. Cross-pollination could be done artificially, as you have learned in class 9 about emasculation, which is artificial pollination by spraying powder of pollen grains on the stigma to pollinate. Number 6, reproductive span of pea plant is very small. It is not like any other higher animals or human beings. It's a short lifespan. And these are the reasons why Mendel had to select garden pea plant for his several experiments. Children, let's study what is monohybrid cross. It is Mendelian cross in which only one pair of contrasting characters taken into consideration at a time. You see in this chart, there are 7 characters which are given. One is flower color, then seed color, seed shape, pod shape, flower position, and height of the plant. Out of these, Mendel took only one pair of contrasting character for his studies. Here, in this case, height of a plant, he took pure tall plant and crossed with pure dwarf plant. So the alleles for this tall plant will be capital T, and for dwarf plant, small t, small t. The progeny which he received in F1 generation. Now let me explain you what is F1 generation means. It is the first filial generation, which means the offspring of the parent. Now we have first generation, second generation, and the third generation. So this is also called as first filial, second filial, and the third filial. Children, let us work out this monohybrid cross by taking into consideration just one pair of contrasting character. So in this case, we consider the height of a plant, pea plant, will have tall plants and dwarf plant. So one parent is tall and the other is dwarf, that is short. Here we see tall parent will have capital T, those are homozygous dominant alleles, and the dwarf will have small t, that is homozygous recessive. In our previous lesson, we learned the meaning of homozygous. Homozygous means similar, capital T, and small t. The progenies which we receive in F1 generation, or you can say the first phyla will be capital T and small t, which are all hybrid. You can see in this chart all the plants in F1 generation are hybrid. So the gametes will be capital T and small t. Here, why it is tall? Because there is a capital letter T. So that denotes the dominance. Now let's find out F2 generation by selfing the parent. When we cross the gametes, we get capital T small t and capital T small t, capital T and small t. If we see this in this chart, those are the offspring. So here we have pure tall, that is capital T, one plant, then capital T small t, hybrid tall, which are two, and pure dwarf, that is small t, which is only one dwarf plant. So these are the gametes. So the genotype ratio will be 1:2:1. Here 1 is tall, again 2 will be hybrid tall, and 1 again is dwarf. Those are recessive. And the phenotype ratio, which is a visible feature of the plant, what you see, 3:1. So 3 tall plants and 1 dwarf plant. We are going to do another case study. The plants with pure round seeds, which were crossed with the plants having pure wrinkled seeds, and the progenies in F1 and F2 generations were obtained. You see in this chart, Mendel took one contrasting character, that is the shape of seed. He took plants having round and wrinkled seeds and he crossed. For round, we have capital R, which are dominant, which is a dominant character, and for wrinkle we have small t, which is recessive. So let's cross the parent plants, capital R, and small r. So in first generation we will have all round seeds. Those are capital R and small r. So let's do selfing of the gametes in order to get the offspring. In F2 generation we get capital R, then capital R, one more capital R, and small r. Here we have capital R and capital R, one pair, then capital R, 2, and small r, 1, which is wrinkled. So the genotype will be 1:2:1, which is one round, that is capital R, again two rounds, it's capital R and small r. Here capital R is dominant and that is why it is round, and one that is wrinkled, small r, which is homozygous recessive. Let's see the phenotype. Phenotype will be 3:1. Phenotype is a visible feature of the plant. So 3 round seeds and 1 wrinkled seed. The generalized principles based on the above breeding experiments were as follows. Number 1. Each pair of contrasting characters depends on a pair of genes. Number 2. Each individual carries such genes in pairs. So the genes are always in pairs in an individual. Number 3. An individual produces gametes which are sex cells, for example sperm and eggs, which have only one member of a pair of genes. So here only one of the two genes present in an organism is distributed to each gamete that it makes, egg and sperm. Number 4, fertilization of gametes restores the duplicate condition of the genes. And number 5, sex cells with respect to genes they contain get fertilized at randomly. So allocation of gene is always done randomly here. When an egg and sperm join in fertilization, they form a new organism whose genotype consists of alleles contained in the gametes. Now let's study Mendel's law of inheritance. Based on monohybrid cross, Mendel formulated two laws as under. Number 1, law of dominance, which states out of a pair of contrasting characters present together, only one is able to express itself while the other remains suppressed. The one that expresses is the dominant character and the one unexpressed is recessive. Now in case study which we did, the first and the second case study, we had the height of a plant, that is a character. We had tall and dwarf plants. In this case, the tall, capital T and capital T were dominant character or the trait. So dominant means the one which is expressed. So when two traits like you have tall and dwarf, allele for tall is T and for dwarf is small t. So here in this case capital T will be expressed, which is dominant, and small t which is unexpressed, that is recessive. The second law is known as law of segregation, and this law is also called the law of purity of gametes. The two members of a pair of factors separate during the formation of gametes. They do not blend but segregate or separate into different gametes. Now here the word segregation, which means separate. So in this case the two factors or the alleles always separate from each other. Like for example capital T and small t separate from each other into two different gametes. So this law is also known as the law of purity of gametes, as the alleles are in pure form, that is capital T and small t, as you find in monohybrid ratio, which is 3:1. Children, let's study dihybrid cross. It is Mendelian cross in which two pairs of contrasting characters are taken into consideration at a time. So the third law of Mendel, which is the law of independent assortment, depends on dihybrid cross. Mendel tried several combinations of characters of pea plant, but we are going to take only two such contrasting characters and study dihybrid cross. Children, let's study the dihybrid cross. Let's do case study based on dihybrid cross. Here di means two. We have taken two contrasting characters. Mendel's third law depends on dihybrid cross, and the third law is the law of independent assortment. Now let's work this out with an example which you can see in this diagram or a picture. Mendel has taken two characters here. First is a round and yellow seeds, and he crossed it with wrinkled and green seeds. Here round and yellow shows the dominant seeds, dominant character, and wrinkle and green seeds show recessive character. So here the gametes for round and yellow seeds will be capital R, capital R, capital Y for yellow seeds, and for wrinkle and green the gametes will be small r, and small y. Now let's cross this parents. In F1 generation, after crossing, we get all round yellow seeds. Capital R, capital Y, small y will be the gametes. Here capital R, small r, all round because R is dominant here, and capital Y, small y, yellow seeds, which is in which Y is dominant, and that is why it is all round seeds with and yellow seeds. Now let's do selfing. After the selfing, we will get these gametes, which you can see in the diagram. Capital Y, capital R, capital Y, then capital R, small r, capital Y, and small r, small y. Now let's cross this and let's get ratio of F2 generation. Let's do this. Now in first row you need to write the female sex cells, and in vertical row you will be writing all four gametes as you see in female sex cells. Same way you have to write male sex cells. So let's cross. First row, capital R, capital Y, and down in first row you have capital R, capital Y. That gives capital R, capital Y, capital Y. The next one, second, capital R, capital Y. We are still doing first row, and in second column in first row, capital R and small y. That gives capital R, capital Y, and small y. Let's do it again. Capital R, capital Y in first row, and in horizontal column the third one cross with small r and capital Y. That gives capital R, small r, capital Y, capital Y. Now the last one, capital R, capital Y cross with small r and small y. That gives capital R, small y, and capital Y, capital Y and small y. Let's do the second row, the gametes for which is capital R and small y. Let's cross it vertically and horizontally. Capital R, small y cross with capital R and capital Y, which gives in the second row capital R and capital Y and small y. Then the second one, capital R and small y cross with capital R and small y. That gives capital R and small y and small y. The third one with the same gamete, capital R, small y cross with small r and capital Y, which gives capital R, small y and capital Y and small y. Again with the same gamete, capital R, small y cross with small r, small y, which gives capital R, small r and small y, small y. Now the third row, the gamete for which is small r and capital Y, that crosses with the first row, capital R and capital Y, that gives the product in third row, capital R, capital Y, capital Y. Again the same thing with small r, capital Y. Let's cross the second row vertically, capital R, small y. That gives capital R, small r and capital Y and small y. The third row now, with small y, capital Y and small r and capital Y will give small r and capital Y, capital Y. Then the last one with small r, capital Y, small r, small y will give small r and capital Y and small y. Now the last row, which is the gamete for which is male sex cells, small r, small y, and you have the first row vertically, capital R and capital Y, which gives capital R, small r and capital Y, small y. The second row vertically with small r, small y and capital R, small y, that gives the product capital R, small y, small y. Let's do the third one again in the same way. Small r, small y crosses with the third row, small r and capital Y, that gives small r, capital Y, small y. Now the last one in the same way, small r, small y crosses with small r, small y, that gives the last product small r and small y and small y. Now children, we must remember, when there is capital letter, it is a dominant character. So all yellow seeds you can count in this diagram, all yellow and round, they are dominant. And let's count. In first row we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then second row again 2 round and yellow, 4 plus 2, 6. Third row you have 2, 6, 7, 8, and the last one 1 round and yellow. So total we have 9 round and yellow seeds. Then let's count round and green. Round and green, in second row you have capital R, capital R. Now you must remember capital R, that's dominant character. So you'll have round, and you have small y, because it's small, it is recessive, and which is green in green seeds. So let's count all green. In second row you have 2 green, those are round and green, and in the last, that is fourth row horizontally, the second one is round and green. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so 3 round and green. Now let's count wrinkled and yellow. So in the third row you have small r, capital Y, capital Y. Now here small r, that means the seeds, it is recessive character and it is wrinkled seeds, and you have capital Y, so those are yellow, dominant character. So 1, 2 in third row, and the last row you have 1 wrinkled and yellow, so total is 3. So 3 wrinkled and yellow seeds, and the last one, which is wrinkled and green, which is the last column, that is small r and small y, wrinkled and green, because both are small letters and they are recessive. So here the phenotypic ratio, which is observable ratio, obtained by Mendel is 9:3:3:1. 9 seeds are round and yellow, 3 seeds round and green, 3 wrinkled and yellow, and 1 is wrinkled and green. So this is phenotypic ratio, and the genotypic ratio is very complex. We are not going to study that. Children, as a result of dihybrid cross, Mendel postulated the third law, which is the law of independent assortment. It states, when there are two pairs of contrasting characters, the distribution of the alleles of one character into gametes is independent of the distribution of the alleles of the other character. This means that if the inheritance of more than one pair of contrasting characters is studied simultaneously, the factors or the genes for each pair of character assist but independent of the other pair. The presence of more than one pair of contrasting character do not interfere in the inheritance of one another. Here, the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independent of the other without influencing each other during the formation of the gametes. So you must know the first law, the third law, second and the third law word to word, because in your case studies or the questions which are asked in your boards, they will give you case study and ask you to identify the law. So depending on your observation, you need to state the laws as it is. So please see that you learn these laws by heart. Students, I hope you understood this topic. In this topic, we studied monohybrid cross, in which only one contrasting character was considered at a time. For example, the height of a plant, we studied height, the tall plants and the dwarf plant, and Mendel's first law of dominance, which is based on monohybrid cross, in which there is dominant character or the trait that will be always expressed. So when we have two traits like tall and dwarf, one will be able to express. Here the tall one was expressed and the other one, which is unexpressed, was dwarf. So for tall it's capital T, and for dwarf it is small t, which was unexpressed. The second law was the law of segregation, and this law is also based on Mendel's cross, that is monohybrid cross. So the two factors or the alleles always separate from each other. For example, capital T, small t, separate from each other into different gametes. This law, we studied that it's also called the law of purity of gametes, as the alleles are in pure form, that is tall and dwarf. Then we studied the third law, which is the law of independent assortment. This law is based on dihybrid cross. Now you must remember dihybrid ratio, which is 9:3:3:1, and monohybrid ratio is 3:1, which you must know. When you do case studies, you need to write the ratios. So monohybrid ratio you will be writing 3:1, and dihybrid ratio you will be writing 9:3:3:1. So in dihybrid cross, Mendel considered two contrasting characters at a time. Now here in this topic genetics, there are terminology or the terms which are very important, and I would like you to learn all these terms very well, because in your board exam this might be asked. Explain the following terms, or there will be case studies given in this topic on the basis of these three laws. So we have finished studying the topic, and I want you to learn the important terms and the laws, and also practice the case study. And anyway, I will be giving you more practice on these case studies. Please do the worksheets very honestly. If you have any doubts, you can call me, or when we come to school, we'll be solving more problems on the board. Thank you, children.